What is up, sexy beast? Bald man who secretly has a full, luscious set of hair here. And today we're going to be comparing two LMGs in Call of Duty Zombies, the Hammer from Black Ops 2 versus the BRM from Black Ops 3. So let's go ahead and get this shit started. So I have compared, I believe, the BRM a couple of times in this series, and I don't think I've ever compared the Hammer, at least not to my knowledge anyway. And for some reason, my dumb, bald brain thought these two would make a good matchup, so YOLO. So the first thing I'm going to do is let you guys watch and listen to each of these weapons, both the unupgraded versions and the upgraded ones, just that way you guys can get a feel for how they look and sound, and overall for yourself decide which one you prefer. So here you go. So when it comes to overall looks and sounds, I'm definitely going to prefer the Hammer. I don't really like Black Ops 3 weapons in either of those categories. They just sound like toys and feel like toys, and I just don't like them. But before we actually get on to the fun test, let's give a little bit of background information about both of these weapons in real life. So the Hammer is actually a real weapon. It was a prototype of the FN Scar. It was actually made in, I believe, 2008. It was actually one of the 4 finalists for the IRA competition, or the Infantry Automatic Rifle competition. The IRA was a US Marine requirement for a lightweight automatic rifle for squad use, and unfortunately this weapon ended up not winning and was actually beat by the M27. It still is a pretty decent weapon. It was actually a pretty big innovation at the time. Now, like I said before, this weapon is actually a variant of the FN Scar, and the Scar has actually a lot of variants. It's actually got the Scar L, which shoots 5.56 by 45mm NATO, and that's got a couple variants of its own. We get the Scar PDW, the Scar SC, the Scar H, which shoots 7.62 by 51 NATO, and that actually has a lot of different versions. And then we got 2 prototypes, and then we actually have 2 civilian variants. So the Scar is a pretty popular weapon, and it's actually been used and is still being used in the US military and actually a lot of other militaries around the world. And I actually have a friend in real life. I know, I have friends, right? And he actually wants to get a Scar, so if he ever actually does, you can bet your ass I'm going to ask him to shoot it, and I can probably make a video about it. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the BRM. So the BRM is a bullshit made-up weapon because it's Black Ops 3 futuristic robots humping each other. So I decided to look around for a weapon that reminds me of the BRM, and for some reason whenever I see the BRM I think of the M60. I think they kind of modeled the BRM after the M60. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, let me know in the comments, but to me they kind of have that similar design, so I'm going to talk about the M60. So the M60 actually began development in the 1940s as a lightweight 7.62 machine gun, and it was heavily influenced by German guns of World War II, mainly the FG and the MG42. And the gun wasn't officially adopted into the US military until 1957, and this gun was like the machine gun of Vietnam. If you've ever seen a Vietnam movie or played a Vietnam game, the M60 is more than likely going to be seen a couple of different times. Now, the M60 wasn't a perfect gun. It was very lightweight and it damaged very easily, but still soldiers tended to actually enjoy the M60 because it actually was pretty easy to use and you could kind of use it from any sort of stance and any sort of position. Now, similar to the Scar, there are a lot of different variants of this weapon. You get the T161, which was basically the M60's development before 1950s. You got the M60, the basic model. You got the M60E1, an improvement of that. You got the M60E2, which was actually used in vehicles. You get the M60B, which was used on helicopters. You got the M60C, which was used in aircrafts. You got the M60D, which eventually actually replaced the M60B, which was used in helicopters. You got the M60E3, basically an updated version. You got the M60E4, and you got the M60E6. So basically there's not really that many variants of it. It's kind of just been getting upgraded a fuck ton. Alright, so now that you know a little bit of history about both these weapons, let's actually get on to the test. The first test we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the fire rate. I line up both these weapons side by side. Now the BRM only carries 75 in its magazine and the hammer carries 125, so of course I had to lower the hammer down to 125. And I start shooting at the exact same time. The hammer is going to be a lot faster. The BRM only has a fire rate of 520, while the hammer has an average fire rate of 625. But for those first 7 rounds that come out of that gun, its fire rate is going to be 937. So for the first 7 rounds, it's going to be 937, and then after those 7 rounds, its fire rate drops down to 625. So with that upgrade fire rate at the beginning and still having a faster fire rate, overall when it comes to speed, the hammer unupgraded is going to be victorious. And when it comes to overall accuracy, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because the BRM is accurate as shit. Those bullets are going to go exactly where you want them to go. Like, there is little to no recoil with this weapon whatsoever. The hammer, I give it a lot of shit. I give this weapon so much shit because I hate its recoil so goddamn much. The unupgraded hammer's recoil is abysmal. You are literally creating stairs with its recoil. It goes up, left, up, left, up, left, up, left. It's so goddamn hard to control because you're not just doing like one motion. You're going up and then to the left, up and then to the left. It's not like up and left at the same time. You have to go up and then to the left. It frustrates me. I hate using this weapon unupgraded. It really, really does get on my nerves. So when it comes to accuracy, I'm going to give this one to the BRM. Alright, and lastly, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the reload speed before we take a look at both these weapons upgraded. And if I start reloading at the exact same time, the hammer is going to be a lot faster than the BRM. The hammer is pretty cool because when you actually upgrade it, he knocks the drum mag out with his drum mag and then just quickly flops it back in. While with the BRM, he takes the magazine out, throws it away, and then grabs a new one. So when it comes to reload speed, the hammer is going to be a lot faster. Alright, so now let's get both these weapons upgraded. So when you actually upgrade the hammer, it's going to become the sledgehammer, and it's going to get a couple buffs. One, gets a damage increase. The fire rate does stay the same. The magazine size does stay the same, but it does get a lot more reserve ammo. It used to carry 125 in the magazine and 375 in stock. Now it carries 125 in the magazine and 625 in stock. Now when it comes to LMGs, that's not a lot of ammo. It is in the magazine, but overall, it's really not that much. And when you upgrade it, you can always get some other attachments, a reflex sight, an ACOG, and a grip. Now if we upgrade the BRM to the Blight Oblivion, it's actually going to get a damage increase, and it's actually going to be more powerful than the sledgehammer. Its fire rate is not going to increase, but its magazine size will. Its magazine size is going to go from 75 to 100, and it used to carry the same amount of ammo in stock as the hammer, 375. But now it carries 700, so it does carry 50 more shots in total than the sledgehammer does. And you can't forget all the other possible attachments that you actually can get from the weapon kits, but I try not to add those in this list because it's just not fair. Alright, so now that we got both these weapons upgraded, let's take a look at all those tests over again. Let's go and start with the fire rate. I line up both these weapons side by side and I start shooting at the exact same time. Now I'm retarded, and for some reason I thought 99 was 100, so the hammer starts off with 99 shots. And to make up for that, I just evened it up in editing. But even saying that, the hammer is still going to have a faster fire rate than the BRM. Now when it comes to accuracy, nothing really changes here. The hammer's recoil does get a little bit more bearable, it just goes straight up. But the BRM has like next to none. Its bullets are going to go exactly where you want to put them. So when it comes to overall accuracy, there really isn't any argument whatsoever. The BRM is by far going to be victorious. And lastly, if we take a look at the reload speed, again, the hammer is going to take the gold. It's just a lot faster, and I wish the BRM was a little bit faster, but I guess you can always throw on a couple attachments to make up for that. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get on to the main part that everyone's been wanting to see, both these weapons on round 50. Let's go and start with the hammer first. So I'm not the world's biggest fan of the hammer, mainly just because of its fire rate, or even the sledgehammer for that matter. I just don't like these weapons really at all. Maybe if they were like incredibly good on high rounds, I would really go after it more, but it's just not. It's pretty good on high rounds, but it's not amazing. It's not enough to make up for that god-awful recoil. Now the sledgehammer's recoil isn't as bad as the hammer's, but still, to get the upgraded version, you have to deal with the regular hammer and that god-awful recoil. And honestly, getting the hammer from the box is almost equivalent to getting the SMR from the box for me. I just really, really dislike that weapon. It's not fun to use. It's a pain in the ass. I don't care how much ammo it carries. I don't care how good it is on early rounds. I'm just not the world's biggest fan of it. But I will admit, because this thing does carry a lot of ammo, and actually because it is pretty powerful, you will be able to get a pretty decent amount of kills on round 50. I would say, depending on how good you are at headshots, you can definitely kill a train of 24 and plus some. So it really all depends on how good you are at rounding them up and how good you are at aiming for the head and everything else. But you could definitely kill over a train of 24 with the hammer. Now with all that said, let's take a look at the BRM. Now the BRM is going to be more powerful than the Hammer, but its fire rate is not going to be as fast. And on round 50, the BRM actually does perform pretty well. I would honestly say it's almost equivalent to what the Hammer can do, but I would say it's probably going to perform a little bit better than the Hammer just because it does do more damage. I feel like I was getting a lot more kills with the BRM than I was with the Hammer. Yes, the Hammer does have a faster fire rate, but it is a little bit weaker and it doesn't carry as much ammo as the BRM, so over time I feel like you're going to get a lot more kills with the BRM than you would with the Hammer. And the BRM is by no means the best LMG in Call of Duty Zombies history, but I definitely do think on high rounds it would be the better choice to have over the Hammer. Now if you were to ask me, Rabbit, which one would you want on early rounds? I think I'm going to choose the BRM. Didn't you guys just hear me go on and on about how much I hate that fucking Hammer? Really, its recoil is atrocious and it's like just such a turnoff. But that is going to be my final verdict. I think the BRM is going to be the better weapon to have, whether you are on early rounds and or on high rounds. Now I'm not trying to say the Hammer is complete shit, I'm just saying that I think it is complete shit. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And real quick, shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome and sexy as hell, and I love you guys so very much. So thank you guys so much for being my Patreon supporters. When I get the ammo for this PPSH, you guys can bet your ass you will be the first ones to see it. If you would like to be a Patreon supporter, go and check out my Patreon. Link will be right down there in the description. And also, while you're down there, go and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Once I hit 5,000 Twitter followers, I'll start doing some cool giveaways. And go follow me on Instagram if you like semi-erotic pictures of me and guns. And lastly, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.